Oh, all right. So thank you everyone for joining tonight. This is the family information night here for our human growth and development that we do offer and provide at our fourth grades across the 3 elementary buildings. Tonight's staff, Mr. Carter, he is we're still trying to get him connected here. And to represent Heritage, Sheila Wyatt is our principal at Arboretum Elementary. I am Dean Kaminsky, and Katie Schmuck is also running our controls here tonight as well. And Angie Ramos is our interpreter. So just wanted to kind of share with everyone here tonight what the purpose is of our human growth development here. First of all, we want to make sure that you as families are really the primary educators for human growth and development. Our school curriculum and materials actually are supplement to what the role of the family is. We really want to make sure we stress that with you, that you take the time with your children to discuss what human growth and development is all about and the impacts that it has on their lives. We as well want to make sure that everyone understands that this is just part of the natural process of being a human from birth to death. And we also make sure that the students understand that there's changes that they're going to be experiencing in their bodies as they enter into adolescence. Again, we're really going to stress this part here, that it's a partnership with our families. We really make sure that, again, that you are the ones that are sharing everything that regards to their development. You're going to be the ones that they're going to be going to when their bodies do start changing. And we want to stress that, and we do encourage our children to make sure that they do talk to you with that, as well as their bodies do develop. So again, the school's role is to teach about it and facilitate that communication between home and school. The family's role is to share and explain and infuse those family values that you all have. All families did receive information about our human growth and development curriculum through an informational letter and tonight's meeting. You are invited to preview the materials. We will have a slide later for families to take a look at, to share as well, some links to preview those videos. We will showcase some of those videos here tonight. And then you should be able to have opportunities as well to look at them through their entirety. We will not be watching the entire videos tonight because they are about 16 minutes long. But we will make sure that you see some of the key pieces that we want everyone to be aware of. Part of the policy, families do have the right to exempt their children from part or all of the human growth development discussion and curriculum. We ask that if you do this, that you have signed documentation indicating that you'd like their child exempt from that instruction. Your child will then have an alternative activity or alternative work to do that it would typically, like at Prairie, they would just go either to the resource room or to the library, and the other buildings will have just an alternative space for them to go during that time. So this is just about the guidelines for our staff and the resources. As you can imagine, children have a lot of different questions about human growth and development. There are going to be opportunities for the children to actually ask questions. There's a Q&A session that's at the end that they will have opportunities to ask questions, and then they will have the teachers will then answer questions appropriately. There's also guidelines as well to help those answers to be shared in a safe environment for all students. Talk about this here. Again, they're going to be asked, they can write questions down, put them into a box, or they are actually prepared and prior in advance. Gives the opportunities for the instructors to consider appropriate responses. And students' names certainly are not disclosed. The questions are answered simply and factually. If there's certain questions that students ask that were reflecting personal or sexual values, what the adult will say or the teacher will say is that just something that they would like to have a discussion with you as parents or guardians. Not every question is answered. The teachers will use their best professional judgment when they are reviewing those questions and providing answers. Questions regarding sexual experiences will not be answered. And also the making sure that terminology for slang terms will be provided whenever it's appropriate. That is one of those things that we really do try to be cognizant of as well, so that we're not providing misinformation. What you can do as families, you can just use this opportunity to talk with your child about their development, encourage them to ask questions, creating opportunities to learn more. Check out books from their public library or the LMTNC. There are some great resources that are out there that are available. And your child's homeroom teacher, you can ask them as well, or if you're unclear of anything as related to this unit. They have our homeroom teachers in this building at Prairie have done and provided this for a number of years, and have seen a lot of different pieces and kind of become experts with that. So at this point in time, we are going to take an opportunity to share with you a couple of things. We are going to be sharing with you some of the videos and kind of show you where you can actually view the entire videos. I believe they are still available on our district website. There is a free couple links. I'm going to see if I can copy that link. And share with you a few of the videos that we have. So there's a boy video and a girl video. The students will watch both of them. This is really going to be a general overview of the emotional, physical changes that they will they'll experience during puberty. So we are going to take a few minutes here to get, just please bear with me as I get the video queued up. Just so that you are aware as well that there's a nice little ditty, I would call, with this that the children will start to maybe share with you, and that is that the music in the beginning, just around the corner, just has a nice little ring to it. Miss Wyatt there, and I have, I don't know, it just becomes part of it, just around the corner. So you'll catch on here pretty quick.
Look around you. What do you see? Probably a lot of different things and a lot of different people. Even when you are around people your own age, you'll notice that everybody's different. Every young person grows and changes at a different rate, starting at different times. A lot of it is very hard to go through. Many times you'll feel awkward and self-conscious, but you know what else? You'll find there are some energizing changes just around the corner.
You won't believe the changes you're going to see just around the corner. Just around the corner. We're going to like the people we're growing to be just around the corner. Just around the corner. Just around the corner.
Sometimes it might seem like you're never going to grow up, that you're always going to feel awkward and clumsy and never know what to say or how to act. But you are not alone. Everyone goes through it. It all begins during puberty. That's when chemical substances called hormones start all kinds of changes in your body. For boys, puberty can begin as early as 9 years old or as late as 15 or 16. Exactly when puberty begins for you is largely determined by heredity, the traits you got from your parents. You can't hurry puberty, and you can't slow it down. But when it does come, you'll find yourself changing from a boy to a young man. At the beginning of puberty, hair will begin to grow in your pubic area, and your testicles will grow larger. You'll become taller and heavier. Your arms and legs and your hands and feet will grow quite a bit. Over the next few years, muscle bulk will increase, and your shoulders will broaden. Hair will grow under your arms, on your arms and legs, and on your face. It's like getting a whole new body. And just like when you get a new game and it has instructions, or a new bike and it has an owner's manual, there are things you need to learn about taking good care of your changing body.
Just around the corner.
Sometimes all that growing and changing can make you feel tired. Don't worry about being a little tired. It's completely natural. Just get plenty of sleep and listen to your body. When it says it's tired, give it a rest. There are some other ways you can take care of your body during puberty. Exercise is important. If you enjoy sports, that's great. Find a team that works for you. If sports aren't your thing, there are still a lot of fun ways to get exercise. Even taking a walk can give you the exercise you need. Just 20 minutes a day, at least 3 times a week, will make you feel better, look better, and have more energy. In this electronic age, when people spend so much time watching screens every day, it's even more important to get outside and get your exercise. Pay attention to what you eat. It's a good idea to stay away from junk food. Try to eat healthful foods, including fresh fruits and vegetables. And breakfast truly is the most important meal of the day. One big problem is too much soda pop. Soft drinks are bad for your teeth, bad for your bones, and cause that sugar crash that makes you feel tired and grumpy. Drink more water, and skim milk too.
Just around the corner.
Sorry about that. I'm going to pause it right there. So this next section is about cleanliness. I think one of the areas that I think a lot of individuals are probably curious about is when we start talking about the reproductive cycle. So I'm going to scroll ahead here a little bit. In body order, I'm talking about making sure that we are using deodorant and cleaning ourselves every day. Brushing our teeth. Here we are. Here is the section on the reproductive system.
Just around the corner.
During puberty, the reproductive system reaches maturity. The job of the reproductive system is to make new human beings. There are 2 primary parts in the male reproductive system, the penis and the testicles. The penis is a tube-shaped organ at the front of the body. Behind the penis are the testicles, 2 egg-shaped organs carried inside a pouch of loose skin called the scrotum. The testicles produce and store male reproductive cells, which are called sperm or sperm cells. The sperm duct is a passageway for the sperm to travel from the testicles to the penis. The urethra carries the sperm through the penis to the outside of the body. The urethra also carries urine to the outside of the body, but the urethra never carries the urine and sperm at the same time. Normally, the penis hangs down. However, for sperm to be released from the body, the penis must become hard, erect. An erection is a stiffening and enlarging of the penis that causes it to stand out in front of the body. Sometimes during puberty, boys may experience involuntary erections. They happen without warning and for no apparent reason. This is normal. The erection will go away as the muscles relax. Erections may also occur while you're asleep, and sperm may be released. This is called nocturnal emission, or a wet dream. If you find wetness in your pajamas or sheets, don't worry, it's completely normal and harmless. The release of sperm is a sign that your reproductive system is maturing.
Just around the corner.
The same hormones that cause all these physical changes may also cause some emotional changes. Sometimes you'll find yourself being happy one moment and grumpy the next. Sometimes you might feel angry about nothing. During puberty, your self-esteem goes through changes too. Self-esteem is about how you see yourself as a person. It's about how valuable and worthwhile you think you are, and how good you feel about yourself. During puberty, almost everyone becomes more self-conscious. Being self-conscious can be tough, especially when you think your feet are too big, or your legs are too long, or not long enough, or your voice is changing pitch and cracking.
Ew.
Getting used to your growing body can take some time. But being self-conscious can also mean getting to know yourself better. Get to know the things you are good at, the things that can make you happy, and the things you can do to make other people happy. Puberty is a time to dream, to set goals, to practice and try new skills. Some of those skills may be new talents and abilities that you never knew you had. And some skills may be social skills, new ways of communicating and getting along with other people. You might also become more sensitive about what your peers say, and you'll probably start to worry more about how you look. There can be a lot of pressures at this time in your life. That's why it's a good idea to find an adult you can trust, someone you can talk to about your feelings, someone who can answer your questions. A parent or special caregiver is the best person to go to. Your parents have a lot of experience they can share with you, and they have your very best interests at heart. But a school counselor or nurse, a teacher, or someone at church can also be a good listener and advisor. Growing up isn't always easy, and some days it may seem very hard. But everyone gets through it, and so will you. And one day, just around the corner, you'll look back and smile. You just won't believe the changes.
All right, so that is that's the boy video, and as you can see there was some discussion and sharing there of the male reproductive organ, and there also the emission of sperm. Just want you to be aware that we will be going through and we'll be viewing the girl video as well next. I'm going to scroll through some of the beginning parts because it's the same.
To grow up. That you're always going to feel awkward and clumsy and never know what to say or how to act. But you are not alone. Everyone goes through it. And it all begins during puberty. That's when chemical substances, called hormones, start all kinds of changes in your body. For girls, puberty usually starts between the ages of 8 and 16. Exactly when puberty begins for you is largely determined by heredity, the traits you got from your parents. You can't hurry puberty, and you can't slow it down. When it does come, you'll find yourself changing from a girl to a young woman. At the beginning of puberty, the hormones cause a sudden spurt of physical growth. You'll grow taller and heavier, and your feet may grow rapidly. At about the same time, you'll start to develop the physical traits of a female adult. Your breasts will begin to develop, and hair will start to grow in the pubic area. Your hips will become broader and rounder, and your waist will narrow. Hair will grow under your arms and on your legs, and sometime during puberty, you'll experience your first menstrual period. It's like getting a whole new body. And just like when you get a new game and it has instructions, or a new bike and it has an owner's manual, there are things you need to learn about taking good care of your changing body.
Just around the corner.
Sometimes, all that growing and changing can make you feel tired. Don't worry about being a little tired. It's completely natural. Just get plenty of sleep and listen to your body. When it says it's tired, give it a rest. There are some other ways you can take care of your body during puberty. Exercise is important. If you enjoy sports, that's great. Find a team that works for you. If sports aren't your thing, there are still a lot of fun ways to get exercise. Even taking a walk can give you the exercise you need. Just 20 minutes a day, at least 3 times a week, will make you feel better, look better, and have more energy. And in this electronic age, when people spend so much time watching screens every day, it's even more important to get outside and get your exercise.
So this next section is very similar to what we saw in the boy video. I'm going to scroll ahead here a little bit. This is the cleanliness and cleaning and deodorant. And we'll start there.
Water will help replenish the fluids lost in sweating. Body odor is natural too, but that doesn't mean it is pleasant to other people. You'll discover that your oil glands will begin to produce more oil, particularly on your face. With the increase in oil, it's likely you'll have to deal with some blemishes, such as pimples and blackheads. The best way to fight blemishes is to keep your skin clean. Wash your face gently with a mild soap and water or cleanser at least twice a day. Keeping your hands clean and avoiding touching pimples will also help. Talk to your parent or school nurse about other ways to treat blemishes. And, of course, don't forget to brush your teeth in the morning and at night. And floss, too. Lots to remember, but all important. By the time you're around 16 or 17, you should be nearly finished with the physical changes of puberty. But remember, we're all individuals. Don't be concerned if your changes come before or after the changes your friends experience.
Just around the corner.
During puberty, the reproductive system reaches maturity. The job of the reproductive system is to make new human beings. An important part of the reproductive system is the uterus, which is also called the womb. The uterus is a muscular organ located in the center of the abdomen. On each side of the uterus is an ovary. Ovaries are connected to the uterus by the fallopian tubes. The uterus leads to the vagina, a hollow tube that connects the uterus to the outside of the body. The opening of the vagina is located between the urethra and the anus. The urethra and the anus are not part of the reproductive system. The job of the urethra is to discharge liquid waste as urine. The job of the anus is to discharge solid waste as a bowel movement. The ovaries store thousands of reproductive cells, called eggs or ova. Approximately once a month, beginning during puberty, an egg reaches maturity in an ovary and is released into a fallopian tube. The release of an egg is called ovulation. After ovulation, the released egg travels through the fallopian tube on its way to the uterus. It is during this journey down the fallopian tube that the egg can be combined with a male reproductive cell, called a sperm, or a sperm cell. If a sperm cell joins the egg, we say the egg has been fertilized, which also means the woman is pregnant. During the month, the uterus has built up a soft lining of blood and tissue in preparation to receive a fertilized egg. A fertilized egg will attach itself to the wall of the uterus, where it will be protected and nourished as it grows into a baby.
Just around the corner.
We talked about what happens when an egg is fertilized. Now it's time to discuss what happens when an egg is not fertilized. First of all, if the egg is not fertilized, it does not attach to the uterus wall. Instead, the built-up inner lining dissolves and slides off the uterus wall. Then, over a period of 3 to 7 days, the blood and tissue from the lining and the egg flow out of the body through the vagina. At the same time, a new egg is maturing in an ovary, and the process begins again. This process is called menstruation, and the days during which it happens are called the menstrual period. At first, your menstrual period may not be regular, but eventually you can expect to menstruate for about 3 to 7 days every 26 to 32 days. Every girl is different, and every girl has her own cycle. These differences are normal. During menstruation, the flow of blood must be absorbed. Some girls use sanitary napkins, soft pads that attach to the inside of underwear with self-adhesive strips. Sanitary napkins are comfortable and they can't be seen through your clothing. Some girls use tampons to absorb the flow of menstrual blood. Instead of being worn like a pad, a tampon is placed inside the vagina. You should talk to your mother or another adult woman, such as a school nurse, about whether sanitary napkins or tampons are best for you. Whichever you choose, pads or tampons should be changed several times a day. The used pad or tampon should be wrapped in toilet tissue and placed in a special waste container in the restroom. Please remember, pads and tampons should never be flushed down the toilet. It's also a good idea to carry a pad or a tampon with you in case you start menstruating when you're away from home. Your menstrual period shouldn't prevent you from enjoying your usual activities, including most sports. If you choose to use a tampon, you can even go swimming. Physically, you should feel fine during your period, although you may have mild abdominal cramps. Usually, these cramps can be eased by a heating pad. Some light exercise might also help. A daily shower is also needed, especially during your menstrual period. During your period, or perhaps just before it begins, you may feel a little down. A touch of the blues seems to be normal for a lot of girls. But don't worry, the blues will pass very quickly. The beginning of menstruation is a normal and natural part of life. It's also a sign your reproductive system is maturing.
Just around the corner.
All right. So we wanted to make sure that you saw some of those videos, and that last part of the girl one is the same type of thing we saw with the boy one, just talking about emotions and that we all have some changes that we go through. I do want to make a point there that everything that is shared with the students is matter of fact. There is no discussion of how the sperm unites with an egg, and that is something that if families want to discuss that, they can certainly do that on their own, but that is not discussed in school at all. There is, you can view those videos, I believe, through still our district website. I'm going to click on the link here to kind of show you. There is, if you can read the link up here, it says sites.google.com/Waunakee.k12.w.us, 4th grade HGD/home, Roman numeral, or the number sign H.LGR 80369H32A. And I believe those links are still active. At least I can see them. I would assume that since they are still there, that is an opportunity as well. They're about 15 minutes long as well for you.
Mr. Kaminsky, I was just going to say too, if any parents have some difficulty with the site and getting those links to load, I know that some homes still have the ability to use a DVD player. or their computer may also play for them. So we do have copies that are coming to each of our schools, and you can just contact your fourth grade teacher to ask for that, or any of the principals, and we're happy to help out as well. It's just that those would be kind of like a library loan where we would need to have those returned before we can give it out to somebody else. So know that if those links aren't working, just give us a shout out and we'll help you out.
Yep, thank you, Ms. Wyatt. I believe all of our LEMTEX directors each have a copy of that. So what's next? So the students will be learning about fourth grade human growth development here in the coming weeks. Our brain will be the week of May 23rd, same as Prairie. Heritage would be the week earlier, the week of May 16th. We do have a couple. We just, for those of you that know that your children just finished up the forward exam, we do have STAR exams coming up here as well, and so we try to not to have that interfere a little bit with those assessments. So thank you as well for attending tonight. We're going to open up the Q&A session. If you have any questions, Ms. Wyatt and I will be able to answer. And Mr. Carter's been texting me here. He apologizes. We had some technical difficulties. He is out there in our webinar, and he wishes, he just wants to make sure that all of Heritage knows that he is there. He is here. We just don't see him at this time. We had a little maiden voyage here tonight on running a webinar for our first time. So appreciate your patience as we are working on this together. So at this point in time, if you'd like to ask any questions, you should be able to see a Q&A area there for you to put in a question. I hope the Q&A is working. Oh, we got a few. All right. One of the first questions, does everyone see both the girl and boy videos? Yes, both of them will be showing. They'll be showing actually in the classrooms together. So there'll be each of the homerooms, they'll be viewing the videos together. And then when it gets to the Q&A session at the end, the students will break up into two separate groups for that. Ms. Wyatt, do you have any more to add to that one? Is that pretty accurate? Okay. Appreciate that. Is there any discussions about boundaries, consent, and touch, or is this covered in another class? So in terms of discussion about boundaries, consent, or touch, or is this covered in another class?
I think I can add a little bit to that
one. You want to add a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not really right now in our human growth and development content for fourth grade. It is something later on up the line as kids get older that they do talk about. But I would also say that in general, not only through human growth and development, but we have safety pieces that are taught through our guidance curriculum. And it wouldn't be necessarily just around human growth and development type of touch and consent, but it is about the fact that we want to, not touch each other's bodies, those kinds of things in a way that makes people feel uncomfortable. So it's kind of more of a general piece. And for fourth grade, it isn't something we get specific into. Dean, I don't know if you want to add more to that.
I actually lost you a little bit because my headset just battery went out. So I think you probably answered it really well. Thank you. is there discussion about pronouns? There won't be any discussion about pronouns at this point. That's again a discussion that we would ask parents to have with their children.
Here's another question as we scroll down that came in, and it said, can you confirm, did you say that there will not be discussion about basically how fertilization occurs? And that's correct. That's not something that's covered at our 4th grade level. That would also be a question, you know, the way that teachers typically handle it is they have these questions that kids have been able to write ahead. And if it's a question about that, they may say something to their class as simple as this: if I didn't read your question, that means you should ask a trusted adult, a parent at home about that. So it's not that they're even reading aloud the unanswered questions to kind of plant questions that kids may not have had. So it's just not addressed.
So we'll wait a little bit more here. You know, this is a very important topic and discussion, and people may be putting their questions together yet.
So I see on my scroll bar that another one popped in, and it just said, any recommendations for parents who are navigating this topic for the first times for curious minds? I think first of all, deciding ahead of time how much you want to share and when. You know what the school is doing, and then you making that conscious decision on your own, because that might change the resources that you would do. I know that one resource that a lot of families have enjoyed really has the same topic of taking care of yourself, and everything from brushing your teeth, deodorant, changes, things like that in the basic reproductive pieces, without getting into the actual fertilization pieces, is done by the American Girl Company. And they have a great one about self-care for girls. We wish they did for boys, but the reality is it was the American Girl Company. Now, on the other hand, it's a great resource with that common message, just like the videos. So parents could buy that regardless of gender and have part of that available to them. But again, I think your resource is going to depend on how much you as a family want to share and what your family values are. But the one that I just mentioned mimics that taking care of yourself from a healthy point of view, again, done by the American Girl Company. I think you can get it on Amazon, maybe.
You can, yeah, and they actually would they have that down at the public library even possibly?
They probably do, yeah.
They might, yeah. Yeah, that's the only one that's exactly the only one that I would, that I know of as well. I gotta learn to scroll well, the girls get to see the menstrual products in person. So that is, so in the past we did hand out actually little goodie bags. So I'm just gonna share that those are, and that's where they did receive either a pad or tampon. And they will have, I believe I think they utilize, share those in that girl discussion. I have not been part of that, so I don't know if this Wired has any information on that, but I do believe that they share what a pad looks like and a tampon.
We have shared that when they do their breakout session, and see that. But as Dean just mentioned, it's not something that we're sending home with kiddos at this point. And again, I think it's something too that families make some choices about with their students, with their children.
Mm-hmm.
kind of getting to that
I think-
natural pause
I
here where
think-
there's
I
not
think
a
we
lot
are.
more questions. So zip them in if you're going to,
Yep.
so that we're not cutting you off. And of course, always feel free to reach out too.
All right, I think looks like we've possibly reached the end of our questions. And as Boyer had stated, please feel free to reach out to any one of the buildings. You can reach out to your child's classroom teacher. And also you can reach out to us in our buildings so that we can hopefully direct and provide some guidance or answer questions that you may have. So with that, I think as you are signing yourself out, we wish you all a very wonderful evening. And again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate having the opportunity to work with your children, each of our buildings. All right, I'm going to stop the recording. All right. And it's going to take a long time to render.